Hi, Cara Lonsdale here, and I'm a local real estate broker serving the greater Phoenix market. And this is Cara's Corner, where I answer the questions about the greater Phoenix real estate market, as well as general real estate questions from anywhere around the nation. I take questions on my Quora pages, on my website, on any of the forums that I post to, including Bigger Pockets, or you can reach out to me directly with your questions. I'm happy to take them. Today's question is kind of interesting. If you have a contract with a realtor to sell your house and they do nothing except post it online, can you sell it yourself and not pay them a commission? This is an interesting question, and it brings up a couple of different pieces. So I want to kind of break them off one by one and answer them in each direction. The first one is the first question I'm going to ask you is, what does your listing agreement state? Your listing agreement is the roadmap to your relationship with your agent. If your listing agreement says that you can go off and market the property on your own, and if you bring the buyer in yourself, you don't have to pay a real estate commission, then that's what your agreement is. None of them usually come like that typically. So that would be something that you would have to agree with the listing agent, and you would have to document it in writing. But what I think you're really asking me is, my agent isn't doing what I expected that they would. And so I want to kind of negate their efforts and go off on my own and try and find a buyer. If I've clearly kind of classified your question, then I want to go down a different road with you. And that is, it sounds like you need to contact your agent and clarify expectations. You need to manage those expectations with your agent. Your agent works for you. And that listing agreement that I mentioned previously is your roadmap. In it, it should state clearly what the expectations of the agent are and what the expectations of you as the seller. For example, your listing agreement probably states that you allow the agent to put a lockbox on the property. That's something that is expected of you as the seller. Similarly, you agree that the property will be placed on the MLS, that it'll be shared with any IDX sites. IDX sites are all of the online sites like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, and so forth. So that's again another expectation for you. But there are also expectations of the listing agent. So you have to reference your listing agreement, which is your employment agreement, and see what the expectations are of that agent that they agreed to. Now, if they put it in MLS and you haven't heard from them since, you need to call that agent. You need to clearly communicate that your expectations have not been met, that they haven't been doing the things that they told you that they would do. And you need to set those expectations going forward and give them the opportunity to resolve it. A lot of agents might be working in the background and just not clearly communicating what they're doing with you. So you have no idea and you think that they're not doing anything for you, but maybe they are. So give your agent the opportunity to answer to those expectations that were set in the very beginning and kind of have a coming around to an agreement of what you're going to be doing over the course of the next week, 2 weeks, month, several months, whatever that looks like for you. Again, that's something that needs to be negotiated between you and your agent. Now, this last thing I want to kind of approach very gently. While this listing agreement is an employment agreement, it's a contract, it can be canceled if the listing agent is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. If they have taken your listing and then have totally ghosted you for whatever reason, they've taken the listing, they put it in MLS, and you haven't heard from them since. You've contacted them, you've documented the communication with your expectations, the agent said, yeah, 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 okay, and then never did anything. Well, now you have a different issue, and that's something that you can approach them and say, you know what, this just isn't working out. And if they don't agree, or if they won't let you out of your listing agreement, your contract, you do run the risk of having to pay them if a successful closing does happen within that listing period. So you want to be sure that you have an agreement in place with that listing agent, that you understand clearly what your obligations are. And as a side note, if you have trouble with the listing agent, go to the employing broker. This is the designated broker, and every brokerage has one. It's the broker that is responsible for all of the agreements, and it's actually who your agreement is with. The employing broker is who the agent holds their license under, and this person actually is the decision maker. So if you do have struggles getting out of a listing agreement with an agent who you have clearly communicated with that is not holding to their end of the contract, the listing agreement, go to the listing broker. They are the employing broker, the designated broker for that brokerage, and communicate what has happened, your experience, and tell them that you're just kind of done with this contract and document the outcome of that. Again, the broker could say, sorry, you signed a contract and you are going to be held to it. So if we find a buyer, or if you sell your home and have a successful closing, you're going to owe us a commission. And in that case, you're going to have to decide, do I take it off the market and wait out the contract? Do I work with this agent, continue to work and set expectations? Perhaps the broker takes over for you. Perhaps they assign you to a more competent agent. There are a lot of things that could come. And in all honesty, it would be a very rare occurrence, in my opinion, that a broker, the employing broker, after hearing your experience with one of their agents, wouldn't release you from your listing agreement. But they don't necessarily have to. And so that's why I want to make sure I'm clear about that. But I hope I've answered your question. This really stems around your listing agreement and really puts a fine point on how important your employment agreement is. You have to read it. Read through it, make sure you understand all the terms and you're agreeable to the expectations that are going to be held for you. And you have clearly communicated the expectations that you have for the listing agent. And that will ensure a successful relationship. Thanks so much, and keep those questions coming.